Hello, everybody. Today, I'm going to go over sales. It's your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor, here to help you with your land investing needs, teaching you the game so you can flip it, quip it, dip it, flip it, dip it, dip it, dip, and bring up that money so you can make your dreams come true. Today, before I get into sales, I have a question in a Facebook group. If you're not a member of this Facebook group, you need to be. Heidi asked, she's asking for help. She contacted a person with 6 parcels, and not all of them are all together. She's like, well, what should I do? Well, my answer is this. Number one, you make an offer on all of them. Most people want to sell all of their property at once within a certain region when it comes to vacant land. Usually, if there's any off limits, they would honestly just say, hey, yeah, I'm only looking to sell this one or that one, or maybe 3 of the 5 or whatever it is. So if you're like, hey, yeah, I want to buy them all, and go from there. Now, if the property is of a certain, like say certain ones are nicer than the others, then I will use those less nice properties, the lousy ones, so to speak, and use as a bargaining chip to be like, hey, look, I'll take the nice ones. That's the one I originally wanted. But these, like the ones that aren't as nice, I'll take them. But, since I'm doing you a favor, I can only offer you so much, right? Or maybe you actually offer the original offer price you want to do for the nicer properties. And then the one that you would have offered for the less nice ones, maybe you cut back a little bit more because you guys are making a deal. So let's say for those less nice ones, you're going to offer, let's say $800. Maybe you do $500 now per property for those less nice ones, even though the ones that are premium, you're going to pay regular land investing price for. And at the end of the day, you'll be saving a couple $100. You're making it easier for them. It's probably easier on you because you can use one deed probably for all of them, even though they're in different areas. As long as they're in the same county, you only need one deed. So the question is, do I still itemize the 6 properties so I can sell them each? That actually depends on you, Heidi. It totally depends on you. Like what I do, if they're all together, then I sell them as one big group because it's like having one giant property. If they are separate places, oh, absolutely. You sell them individually. Now, there's been times where I have properties that were together and they actually, I did sell them piece by piece. Doing that process works well. And sometimes, or many times, it's more profitable, but it's more work because you got to sell the same thing over and over again. And depending on where the property is, what it looks like, and so on and so forth, that might be a little bit more of a headache than you want to deal with. And you rather just get rid of all at the same time. So hopefully that answers your question. I don't know if you're watching this right now. But yeah, so cool. I just answered you in the live stream. Smiley face. Okay, now let's actually get into sales. All right, so if you're having a tough time selling, do you have a tough time selling right now? Are you tired of those quote unquote tire kickers wasting your time? These terrible leads that don't go anywhere. People who say they're going to do one thing, like check out the property or call the county to get their answers, their questions answered. They don't do it. Well, what should you do? What's going wrong? Why are you getting all the tire kickers when somebody else is getting all the sales? Well, today I want to go over that. Now, some of the things that I've talked about in the past, but a lot of you guys need this refresher because I don't think a lot of you guys are actually putting this support. So you're welcome for this reminder, but there'll also be some new stuff in here as well. So now I want you to picture this just so we kind of get in the same mind frame and maybe you'll start to see where all these things come from. You are minding your own business, your phone rings and somebody's looking to purchase a property you have listed. You're talking to the person and you're a little nervous. So let's say it's a middle-aged woman. Her and her husband are looking for a place for their RV for the summer or whatever. And so they're asking you some questions and you're like, hey, is it still available? You're like, oh yeah, it's available. And then because you don't know what else to say right there, you're quiet. They're quiet. Awkward silence. The energy starts to go down. Then they're like, well, so I saw your ad. I want to know some more information. You're like, oh yeah, sure, ask me anything. And so she's like, well, can I put my RV on it? And you're like, well, I think so. The road seemed to be not too great. It's about half an acre. Notice that the stammering, the lower volume in the voice, the lack of confidence in what you're saying. Now, after that, there's a little bit more of an awkward silence. And then They're like, okay, well, I don't, so can I put the RV on it? And you're like, I'm not too sure. So now you feel that lack of knowledge about the own parcel that you're selling. And next thing you know, they're like, okay, well, I guess I'll just call the county and find out. And phone call ends. Now at the time you're excited because like, hey, got through it. I think they're interested. I think they're going to buy. I don't have to do any more work. They're going to call the county. I don't have to call the county. Yes. But then at the end of the day, you never hear from them again. Or what about those people who are like, hey, I'm interested in this property? You know, ask you the same questions over and over again. How big is it? How much is it? Where is it located? Et cetera, et cetera. And you get tired of answering them. So now you start to act a little moody. What do you do? Well, this happens all the time. And my goal today is to help you. Now, before I get into what will help you in those situations, let me remind you of this. First off, all land sales. It doesn't matter where it is, how crappy you think it is, how you think nobody in the world wants it. I promise you, there is somebody out there who wants it. The question is, did you actually market to that person? Do they know that that land is available? Do they know why they want it? If you haven't been doing that, then it's no wonder why the leads you're getting are very few or they're not of high quality, meaning people who are very serious about buying property, or at least the property that you have. Now, with that said, when you're first purchasing the property before you even looking to sell, number one, make sure you're not buying a piece of property that's going to be hard to move, right? Like that you don't want to like have to like fight and fight and fight and fight just to get people on the phone, just to, you know, you don't want to be the most clever copywriter out there or the most clever marketing person or ads person just to get people to give you a call to maybe buy your property. You get something that's premium, it's going to be much easier to sell no matter how good or bad your selling skills are or your marketing skills. All right. Also, when you're buying, make sure you're looking in like, okay, what type of person would want this? Now take yourself out of the equation because what you want and what the actual buyer wants are probably two different things. So you thinking like, oh, well, this is next to this and it has these features and this thing sucks and I don't know how I will use it because the last person I bought wanted things that were totally different. No, don't do that. Think about who would want it, right? So like even if there's a big old mountain in the middle of your property, there's probably someone who wants it. Maybe that person is an avid rock climber and they need a place to practice. Maybe they don't care about the mountain because they can build a house in a certain way so they have a great view, right? Well, other people will want something flat and level. This person wants that because they can get that view that they're looking for. Maybe this person, maybe you have a big mud pit and you're like, who gonna hell want a mud pit? You can't build a house on a mud pit. But the person who may want it is someone who likes riding their ATV or something like that. Maybe they have mud wrestling. You guys remember mud wrestling? Wasn't that a thing? Girls in bikinis wrestling in mud. I guess that's supposed to be arousing, but you know, whatever. But the point is, you never know why somebody's going to want property. So take yourself out of the equation and figure out what the person or what that person will be like, look like, talk like, sound like, etc. as you're buying. And then when it's time to sell, boom, you're already starting to market to those people. So they actually see about the land, they're ready to check it out. And then when it's time to go, they're ready to purchase. Now, let's say you did all of that. Let's say you got land that's pretty desirable, it's pretty cool. The right people to know about the property, but you just don't know why people aren't buying. So first thing that I'm going to tell you about is one of 3 C's that you need to know about. The 3 C's are clarity, certainty, and conviction. All right. I'm gonna say that again: clarity, certainty, and conviction. All right. So let's go over the first thing first: clarity. Now, clarity is a real key to being a successful land investor. So, number one, think about all the things you need to be clear on, whether you're acquiring land or you're selling it. Like you need to be clear on where the property is, who you're buying from, what types of process needs to happen to actually transfer from their name to your name, what's allowed on the property, what's not allowed on the property. Can you do certain things with it, like put an RV on it, or do you have to have a regular single family home? If so, is there a minimum size, right? There's all these things that you want to be very clear about before buying the property. Why? Well, not mostly so you can pass that clarity on to other people. There's a good chance that the person you're buying from probably don't know those rules, but they know enough to give you clues so you can find those rules for yourself. And the more you find out, the better you're going to be when it is time to sell, when it's time to make your ads and things of that nature. Now, what else you want to be clear on? Well, it's how you present that information once you find out when you are selling. be it in your ads or over the phone when you're actually talking to somebody who's pretty interested. So understanding, again, the rules and the regulations and things like that, restrictions are important, but also how do you actually convey that information? How do you make sure they understand what you're saying and that their hopes and dreams and their plans for their future property can actually align with the property that you have available, right? If you're not clear on that, that doubt makes kids an uneasy feeling that is hard to describe. In fact, let me give you an example. I'm a car guy, right? I love my cars are imports, 4 cylinders, adding big turbochargers on them, so on and so forth. But more recently, because I live in California, I actually started to get into electric vehicles, not necessarily just buying a high priced Tesla or something like that, even though I did want one at one point. It's more, I still like to tinker. I still like putting things together. I still like all of the stuff that I did with my gasoline cars. So in that thirst for knowledge about, okay, gasoline cars are cool, but electric cars are also cool. Let me find out more about it. I learned a lot about it. When it was time for me to buy a used car, an electric Toyota RAV4, didn't think they made those, but they did. Going to the Toyota dealership, I knew more about electric cars and the car I was looking to purchase than the actual dealership employee, the salesman. And how do you think I felt knowing that I knew more than him? Put in the comments. Put in the comments. How do you think I felt when I was like hearing him say information? I can tell he wasn't sure of what he was saying. And when he wasn't sure, he wasn't necessarily being clear with me. So it's like, if you're actually putting that information out there like that, when you're not very clear, or you don't have, which is the second C, which is certainty, and I'll get into that in a second, you're going to transfer that negative energy to the buyer, and the buyer's not going to like the way that feels physically. They're not going to be able to put their finger on it, but they're like, you know what? Something's not right about this. I'm out of here. And they don't come back. They don't do what they do. So being clear is going to be a key to getting these sales. All right, so far so good. You like what you're hearing so far? If you like, so say so in the comments. Let me know what's going on in your mind, because I'm here to help, and I want to make sure that everybody can actually do a better job selling their property going forward, because that's what it's all about. Now, the next C, I kind of alluded to this already in my previous example, and I'm going to build on it a little bit more. The second C is certainty. Certainty. So here's the thing. Just like with my electric car example, bottom line is, if you're not the expert on the thing that you're selling, you're not going to be able to sell it. Well, I'm not going to say you're not going to be able to. It's just going to be more difficult than it would be otherwise. All right. So here's the thing. When you think about the electric vehicle story I just told you, the salesperson's lack of certainty made me nervous. Now, luckily, I knew a lot more about the car than he did, so I was able to overcome that. But I was still kind of like, maybe I don't want to buy from this dealership. Maybe I want to buy from another place, because who knows what could happen in the future. If they don't understand the car I'm buying, I don't know if they'll help me service it properly. I don't know if I have any issues they're going to be able to help. I don't know, but I ended up buying it and it's been fine. It's an electric car. There's not really many things to go wrong with it. But in general, you want to be certain about all the things you're talking about. So when you're doing that, you got to know the basics, right? Number one, when you to be certain on the type of person you're going to sell to. Kind of goes back to the prerequisites, doesn't it? Understanding like, hey, this property is going to be really good for people who wants to put an RV on it, or this property is going to be really good who wants to have more of an upscale neighborhood or an upscale area and build something nicer on it. Understanding that and be certain with that, right? Why? Well, now you know exactly what those pain points that each audience may have, and you could touch upon them in your ads and when you're on the phone with these people. All right. Now make sure you also understand what type of questions they're going to ask you, right? If you understand the audience, you understand their needs and their wants and their fears and so on, you're going to understand the type of questions they're probably going to ask. So you can maybe answer some of those prematurely in your ads, so you don't have to field those questions yourself, or maybe in your website that you have about the property. So you're like, hey, all the questions that you have, I have a FAQ right here. Here's a link, boom, everything you need to know, plus links to verify or what have you, right? So understanding those questions is going to be a big deal, because if you feel prepared, not only can you be more clear with your answers, but that confidence is going to transfer over to that buyer, and they're going to feel safe with you. like you're taking care of them. It's like you're the expert and they're learning from you. So that's what we do with experts. We always put them on a pedestal, whether they belong up there or not. And because you're learning from them, it's kind of like, maybe it goes back to us being students in school. I don't know, I'm making this up, but it's kind of the same feeling. And a lot of times when you trust your teacher and you have a good teacher, you see them you put them in high regard. And then when we come across as that expert, when we're selling our own property, similar feelings come about. In fact, neuroscience teaches us that you get like these hits of dopamine and other like positive like chemicals in your brain when you're learning new things. And when you're with somebody that you feel that you can trust. So, I mean, hell, if you had like a dopamine spray and you're able to spray it through the phone, then they'll probably buy from you right away just because they trust you so much. But the point is, you can actually use that, people's brain chemistry to help you make sales a little faster. Again, you can't be certain though if you don't understand the answers and if you're not honest, because, well, I guess if you're a really good liar, that's really hard to do. And I don't really recommend that. So if you don't know the question that people will ask, try to, once you're talking to a couple prospects, they'll start asking, you can start looking those questions up, having those answers on the ready, updating your ads or your webpage or whatever it is. Now, here are the more common questions I get. Maybe they'll be different for you. But 1, what size is it? 2, where is the property? 3, can I put my RV on it? 4, do you do owner financing? 5, can I have farm animals on it? 6, is there power, water, whatever on the lot already? Now, most times these questions are pretty easy to look up or you already know as you're buying. So having these ready to go is great. Now for the power water thing, most times these lots have never been developed. So I tell them, hey, yeah, this lot's never been developed, but to get water on the lot, all you have to do is, and you tell them the process, which would be like, get a registered address with the county. As soon as that happens, then you can call up this number here for one of the local water companies and then set up a time with an engineer. They'll come out, do a little thing and give you a quote, right? So just having that information at the top of your head makes you look like the expert. Even though, to be honest, I was able to tell you that so quickly because that's usually the case with every property across the country, unless it already has water or power hooked up on it already. Now, let's think about this too. When you know the answer to these questions and the most common questions, how do you think you feel? How confident are you? How much certainty are you delivering when you're answering questions where you already know the answers to? Again, that confidence is going to transfer over to the buyer. They're going to feel good with you. They're going to feel like they trust you. They're going to feel like you're the expert, and they're going to feel like they trust you a lot more. So it's going to be stuff that's going to be good overall. And then it makes the buying experience, and in your case, the selling experience, much more positive because you feel like you're prepared. You're ready to go, right? Now, here's the thing though. You don't want to go crazy trying to look up every little question and understanding every little detail. Just understand enough so you don't sound like a dumbass. That's it. Like there are times to be when it's okay. Like, yeah, you know what? I don't know. This is the first time I've heard that. Now, if you do hear a weird question, is it your responsibility to answer that? No. There are times where people's unique needs are just unique to them. So wasting your time to find out an answer for them when they should be doing it is basically not your job. However, keeping note of that question, having them say, hey, you know what, I don't know. This is the people who I will call. It's probably better for you to call them because you can give them the details of what you're asking and why you're asking it. And then like, you know what, I'm going to check up with you in like 2 days to see what the answer is and, find out. And maybe I might find out some stuff on my end and I can share some information with you. Would it be okay if I checked up with you in 2 days? And they're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Should I call or should I text? And, they'll tell you what they prefer. Now, the reason why you're calling up is number one, that's going to hold their feet to the fire a bit because a lot of times people, they will have questions, but how motivated are they to actually go out and find those answers? Maybe in the moment they are, but then if they're not able to actually ask those questions to the county or whoever they need to ask, guess what? They're not going to do it. And if they don't do it, the doubt of like, well, I don't know if I can do what I want with the land, the time passes, like, I don't know, maybe I don't want land. You see how that downward spiral of negativity and confusion comes in? So when you say, hey, I'm going to check up with you in like 2 days or whatever it is, however long it takes for them to figure this out, it puts them in a place where like, shit, I actually got to get something done. Also, it keeps you in the front of their mind. So let's say they totally planned to find out this information, but they forgot. You calling in 2 days, or like, oh shit, that's right, I was supposed to do that. You know what? My bad. You mind if I, give me another day or so? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Just to let you know, in the 2 days since we've spoken, I've had other couple of the people and a few other have actually checked out the property. So not to alarm you or rush you, but just letting you know, other people are interested. I would hate for you to lose out before you even found out if this property can work for you or not. And that usually, if that right there usually puts a little fear under them. Now, what if nobody's actually checked out the property? But don't lie. But if you've actually had people calling you or inquiring, even if they're not that serious, you can still say, yeah, I had other people ask about the property and still say the same thing. I just want to let you know, just so you don't feel like, I'm being unfair to you, or I'm trying to sell it under your nose. Just letting you know, the first that actually, pays for it, the first that gets it, right? So it puts a little fear into them. It reminds them they got to do the research, and they're going to find out if they can do whatever they want to do. But yeah, other than that, if you can help your prospect get the answers, that's good. So that's it. So far we got clarity and we have certainty. So far, so good. We liking this? Is this good? Are you guys finding this useful? Ask your questions now, or I can answer them later. It's up to you. Now, the third question. The third C, besides clarity, certainty, is conviction. So basically, you're going to have to be somewhat motivational and or inspirational. Now, I'm not trying to say you got to be one of those, fucking Facebook memes and shit about following your dreams and all that. I'm not saying that. It's not that serious. However, a lot of times when we're confident and we're certain and we're clear, the conviction comes through our voice. Meaning that, like, yes, I understand the value of this property, how great it's going to be for you. And I know from what you shared with me, this will do everything that you needed to do for you and all this and all that. And I would be a jerk if I let you walk away without giving us a real shot. Because you said this is important to you. This is the thing that could help you, accomplish that dream, whatever it is, building a house, having a play area, whatever. And I have something that can help you and it's within your price range. It's up to me to help you make the best decision going forward, right? Now, understand this. A lot of these land deals that you do, especially the more you do, they become routine for you. But for a lot of these people, it's going to be the one and only time they buy vacant land. This could be a game changer for them. Why? Well, some people, they don't want to go to traditional banks. Some people don't have the credit to go to traditional banks. Some people, they don't have the time to save up or whatever it is. And your property will answer a need for them in a timely manner. Some people, it's a lifesaver. It's not just a game changer, it's a lifesaver. All right. So how do you find out their goals, their dreams, their aspirations for the property? Well, you just got to ask. And you got to do like, so, what are your goals with the property, or what makes you want to buy a property in the first place? That question is trying to help you understand, why do they think land is the solution to their problem? Because maybe land isn't the solution, but they're jumping to that. Now, you may be like, well, who cares as long as they buy? Well, usually when people understand, when the land is not really the solution, it's just one of the answers that they're just kind of like hoping sticks. They're the people who are less likely to actually follow through and do the things that they said they're going to do, like the research, like check it out, like actually pay you for it. Those are the flaky types. However, just because they're flaky today, don't mean they'll be flaky tomorrow. Meaning you may sell the property to somebody else, but keeping them around, keeping them in the loop, letting them know about other properties you have in the area, eventually can help them change the tide, especially if you know what their goals are. So you can always anchor back to that. Second, ask them how quickly you want to get this done by. Some people are like, oh yeah, I want to buy property probably 3 months from now, 6 months from now. And you're like, you may be thinking, well, why are you calling me now? In reality, they think it's like a slow process, like it is when buying a home. A lot of back and forth, a lot of closing time, inspections and fees and everything else, when in like reality, it takes 2 days. And the reason why it takes 2 days in some cases is because you have to mail the deed to the county. Some places it happened right there, right? You get the deed notarized, you scan it, submit it online. They tell you in about 30 minutes that yes, this was accepted, boom, done. They don't understand how quickly these things can go. So understanding that their time frame can help. Now, if you explain how quickly things move and they still want to wait 3 to 6 months, they're not serious. However, again, keep them in the loop. Just because they're not serious today, don't mean they won't be serious tomorrow. Next, what other question could you ask? is there anything else you need to make this dream a reality? Now, think about why I would ask something like that. So let's just say somebody saw some YouTube channel about building tiny homes and things of that nature. And they're like, you know what, that's for me. I want to build a tiny home. Or let's say someone lives in expensive ass California, remote work is becoming more of a thing. And you're like, you know what, I want to live in an RV. I like being on an open road. I like to be able to travel. I like to do all these things. Since all I need is an internet connection to work, I don't need to do anything else. All right, well, the reason why you're asking is why else, or what else can you sell them? What else can you do to help them get to that goal? So for the tiny home person, if you're like an affiliate for Boxable, like I am, you can actually steer them to Boxable as like, hey, here's a solution for your tiny home. You don't need to be like a carpenter or an architect or anything like that. These are affordable tiny homes that they will build in their little warehouse, ship them directly to the site. They fold open, they put together in about an hour, a couple hours, let the professionals do it. You got a tiny home, right? Makes things much easier for them instead of them now buying land and figure, okay, who do we buy the tiny home from? How do we get it there? Are we going to use a container, storage container for the house, etc.? Like, boom. Maybe they also need some solar panels. They want to be off grid. They don't want to be hooked up to the grid. So you're like, hey, this is how solar works. Maybe it's not the solar panels, but it's this information about solar, a book, a course, maybe it's somebody else's contact. So the person makes a sale down the road and you get a commission or a finder's fee or whatever it is. So there's a lot of different things that we can actually help them with to get across their, get them to their goal. But understanding all of that will also help us position the property in a way that is going to be beneficial for everybody involved. Because now we understand what they're looking for. More importantly, we understand why they're looking for it. So now we can position our land as the only solution to the problem that they have. And not just the land, but the other things that we can sell them, right? It's much easier to get more money from a single person that's bought from you already than trying to get a whole new client or a whole new prospect, because they trust you, they like you. And since you know them, you can help them much better than you would someone that's kind of cold, as in you haven't met them yet. You haven't had the time to talk to them yet. You got to build up that rapport. Where someone who's already bought from you, they have rapport. So when you suggest solar panels or whatever it is, they're going to listen. And if you give them a great deal, they're going to buy. So, understanding that, those questions, understand their wants and needs, that's where the conviction comes in. Now, the better questions you ask and the more questions you ask, and not in an interview way, but more like in a friendly conversational way, the clearer the picture that you're going to have. And it's going to be, and that's that word again, clarity. When you have all of that together, it's going to be very easy to have that conviction. Like, look, this is what you need, man. I heard what you're saying. I know you're a little afraid to take that leap, but I got your back. I know this land's going to do exactly what you need it to do, or what it's going to do you for, and all that. And sometimes people need that helping hand to get them started. All right. Now, again, these positive emotions transfer onto the buyer. If they're going to associate positive emotions with you and your land, you're going to probably get a sale. If you're nervous and you're stuttering and you don't know shit about the property and you're a jerk on the phone, you're not going to get a sale. All right. So with that said, the thing is all about getting prepared. The 3 C's is about being prepared, getting your mind ready, getting the information ready, understanding what people are going to want, anticipating their needs so you can help them out. It's all about being prepared. This can all help you get over that fear of selling. Because most times the fear of selling is people are afraid to ask for money, and they're afraid to do the things that need to be done to help that other person actually take that step forward. They think, they get these weird ideas about money in their head, and they assume it's true for everybody. Like, well, that's a lot of money for this old person. I don't know how they're going to afford it. Well, it's not. Maybe it's not a lot of money for them, or maybe it is a lot of money, but this is what they've been saving for. This is this is their dream. Don't let your cowardice stop them from basically accomplishing their dream with something that you have that can help them. And don't be the jerk who has the thing that can help them, in this case, the land, and you don't sell it to them because you're not prepared. How dare you? How dare you? So with that said, we're about out of time, but hopefully my experience and this knowledge in this area is giving you a little bit of clues to what's possible on the sales side and why I can sell things so quickly and so easily. So with that said, I'm always learning. I'm always getting better. There's always things to learn. I'm pretty good at what I do, but there's a lot more people who are much better than I am. So I'm not going to say I'm the expert on anything. I love to learn. I love to give back information I learned, partly because it's easier for me to retain that information. So partly why I did this group of selfish, but whatever, it's not neither here nor there. But if something like this is actually something that you want to learn more of, hit me up. I can teach you a lot more of the game, and it will help you to make a lot more money a lot faster. One last thing. I don't know when you're watching this, whether you're watching it, especially if this is the replay, if you're watching it live, I know what time it is, but I'm going to have a very, very special something for the Land Investing for Professional Millennials group soon, very soon. So I'm just going to ask you this. Get your money ready to invest in your property. I'm going to help you find that property. I'm going to help you get it. So all you need to do is collect your money that you're going to use for investing. That's it. Putting something together. Don't worry, that thing I'm putting together, it's going to cost $0. It's going to be completely free. So all you need is money to invest in property. You need to stop double dungeon and just jump in. And I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to have more details about that coming soon. I'm very excited. I've been working pretty hard on it. Yeah, I think it's going to be very special. Hopefully you guys are good. You got no questions. I don't see any questions in the thing, but then again, my Facebook feed is super slow. Other than that, hopefully you found this useful. Hope I'm not doing this for no reason. All right. But it's your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor. Glad to have shared some information with you. I guess I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.